Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of Reminiscing with Gene DiNapoli. Reminiscing with Gene DiNapoli is a show where I get to talk to celebrities and authors, sports figures, mainly of the past. Uh, I'm an old soul, so I gravitate towards those people. But every so often, I come in contact with somebody who wasn't famous, maybe for the right reasons, uh, but they have a story to tell. And I think it deserves a spot so that other people could hear the trials, the tribulations, and the positive outlook that these people have now and the message they want to send. So tonight, my guest is a author of a wonderful book, a very uplifting book called From Crime to Christ. And we're going to bring him in and we're going to talk a little bit about his journey and how he got to the point where he finally said, enough's enough. And I need somebody to help me. And that somebody was Jesus Christ. So, ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome the author of From Crime to Christ, Charlie, I call him Buono, Charlie Buono, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Gene, how you doing, buddy?
Good, pal. How are you?
Good, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
It's, Charlie, it's my pleasure
Right.
to do these, but also to do them for people that have a message that needs to be heard.
Right.
I see in front of you, you have a picture of the reason we are friends. There was a gentleman that we were very close to, both of us.
Right.
And there is his picture. He was taken from us too soon, just last year. I know you want to dedicate tonight's show to his family,
Yes,
Marie,
I do.
Stephanie, and Paul. So right in front of you, you have the great man himself, Paul Saracelli.
Wow, thank you so much, Gene. That was beautiful.
You got it.
I love to dedicate the this interview for Paulie. He helped
Absolutely.
me a lot. He helped me a lot in my journey getting better.
Did he really?
Yeah, he really did. Him and a few of the Third Street boys that are very good friends of mine. You know them: Ray Barrera, Joe Bergamini, Nicky Trotta, Joe Colangelo. I can go down the line. Lenny Monteleone.
Yeah.
So many guys, Johnny Valente. They all helped me.
Absolutely.
Positive stuff. I wasn't running. Let's go out to dinner, Charlie. Let's go to the fights, Charlie. Right. Instead of the fast lane. I had to get out of that fast lane.
Right. Charlie, take us back. How long did you know Paulie?
I know Paulie, James, I'd say about since I'm 8 years old.
All right. So Paulie's a lifelong friend.
Right.
Ray Barrera.
Barreras, yeah.
Barreras. All these other guys, they're lifelong friends.
Lifelong friends.
But for some reason, you took a little different turn than most of them. In your book, From Crime to Christ,
right,
which I think is a wonderful title, by the way.
Thanks a lot.
When did you start to veer off from the I don't want to say, from the good? When did you veer off from the good road?
I say, Gene, in my 20s.
All right, so
I started drinking and getting in trouble, and the good guys, just to say the good guys were doing the right thing. I didn't know when to stop. I didn't know when to stop. I was drinking every night. I was going out, doing this, doing that.
Right.
They would talk to me all the time. Charlie, you got to calm down. You got to calm. I always worked, but I was just like getting out of control.
Right.
If you know what I mean. Yeah.
Drinking is one thing. Fighting is another. When did you first touch the one drug that started your downfall, cocaine?
Yeah, well, that was in my 20s too.
Right.
And it started with just the cocaine.
Right.
And then it progressed to the hard stuff, the crack and all of that. Right. And once I got on that, I was ashamed to go around these guys because
Right.
they knew I was better than that. You know,
Right.
they knew
So
I was better than that.
right. So the first question I want to ask you, Charlie, is
Yeah,
normally it's peer pressure
right.
that makes people do that. Did you have a bad upbringing that forced you into looking for a recluse way, or did
Nah,
you have
just the opposite, Gene.
just the opposite?
I had the best upbringing. My mother and father were the greatest. Italian people, the greatest. I had everything I wanted, anything I wanted. They spoiled me for, you know what I mean.
Right.
And just something just happened, you know.
Okay.
Just happened. It was just I know it was my fault. You know,
Right.
I can't blame nobody, but I
Right.
walked down the wrong path. I just
Right.
got used to that lifestyle, and the
Yeah.
rest was craziness.
See, the reason I bring that up, Charlie, is
Yeah,
that a lot of people think you need to have a bad upbringing and peer pressure and bad situations to make
right.
people turn. And that's not the case.
Nah, not at all.
It could happen to anybody.
Anybody, Gene, anybody. The drugs, they just take over. And like you said, it's not, you could just get hooked in a second. You could be
Right.
the nicest upbringing in the world.
Right.
It hits everybody. You see on TV all the movie stars and the athletes get hooked on this stuff and they end up in jail. You know?
Right. You know, I had an older brother,
Right.
Charlie, who he was my half brother, so he
Okay.
never got the love of my father that we did, because his mother kept him away from my father.
Right.
He was a tough cookie, and then he turned to drugs as well, but he
Wow.
was looking to fill a void. Uh, my brother Victor, who's no longer with us,
I'm sorry to hear that.
thank you. But you were able to finally, after so many years, say to yourself, all right, enough's enough. And
Right.
it didn't happen when you went to jail. You actually started on the right path before the bad stuff started happening.
Right.
You went to downstate.
I went to downstate correctional and I was facing 7 years.
Right.
I knew I had to do 7 years in prison. And one night in my cell, true story. One night in my cell, I just, Charlie, what are you doing, man? This got to be it, man. This got to be it. So during those 7 years, I just said, I was off of drugs in prison and everything. Every Saturday it was like New York City up in upstate New York. There was so many drugs. Nah, my man, I'm good. And I was all telling him, come on, we'll go to the yard and do it. Nah, my man, I'm good.
So you were on the right path
Right,
before you went away,
right.
and you found your light with Christ before you went away.
Yeah,
So
actually could
how
say
did that happen, Charlie? How did you one day, it's one thing to say, I'm going to stop doing drugs. It's another thing to
Right.
thank God and Christ. Did you have a life-altering problem? Did you have a life-altering altogether? What was it that made you turn to Christ?
You know what, Gene? You know what? It was my upbringing. When I was in them jail cell, I finally said to myself, let me listen to my mother. Let me listen to my mother and father. Pick up this Bible and read it and just believe, believe in it. Just got to do the right thing here, child. I just started believing what they were telling me for 40 years. I ran the street for 30 years.
Right.
But I would have it in my heart, but not do it. You know what I mean? That's why I
Yes.
say I'm not the biggest guy going to church and this and that, but I always had him in my heart.
Right.
Always has him in my heart, and like my wife yelling at in the bedroom, it's a disease. And, I believe that too, but
Right.
I had to just stop, man, because people need me out here.
Right.
People need
And,
me out here. And I put so much damage on my mother and father
right.
that with how many years they took off their life because of me. That, you know what I mean? But thank God I came home and they saw me do good. You know what I mean?
Right. So you Is mom and dad still with us?
No, they passed
Right,
away
they passed.
about 10 years ago or something like
But
that.
they saw you on the right path before.
Oh, both of them. Yeah, both of them got sick. And I was there for them when they got sick. My mother died of pancreatic cancer, and my father died of a heart attack. But they were both 79 and 80, they died.
Wow,
But
God.
I was there good since I came home. 207, I came home. 212, they died.
So
9 months apart.
you had some
Yeah.
good years with them.
Yeah, I had some good years.
You had some good years.
And smiles on their face, you know?
Right. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Because I know I caused my parents heartache not in drugs, not drinking, but in different situations. And on my mother and father's last moments,
Right.
I apologized, and of course they forgave me. I'm their son. Did you approach your parents and ever physically say the words, "I'm sorry"?
You know, Gene, I actually did a few times at the kitchen table.
You did.
Mom, sorry for all the things I did. And my father, you know, he would just, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's life, you know. My mother, she would give me her, but a few times, but not really deep. And I think this book,
Yeah.
I got the opportunity to give back in heaven. You know, maybe they're saying now that what I'm doing is the right thing too. You know, I didn't really do like you did. Give that great apology. I wish I gave it when they were here. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, whether you did it while they're here or they see it afterwards, you still did it.
Right.
I noticed in the book,
Yeah.
You didn't get into detail about your upbringing. We just had a conversation, me and you told me you had the greatest upbringing that anybody could ever have.
Yeah.
Did you not feel that was a good enough story to put in the book, or was it too personal? Did you feel it didn't add anything?
You know, Gene, that's a tough question. I thought that people that know me, you know, most of the people that know me knew I had a great upbringing.
Right.
They just said to themselves, well, a lot of my friends, man, what the hell happened to Charlie? Why'd Charlie go down that path?
Right.
I know Mr. and Mrs. Buono. You know, I actually probably didn't have to say that because people know what kind of people my mother and father were. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I should have, you know, I could have gotten definitely could have gotten more detail how good they were.
Right.
But I didn't do it because I didn't think I had to explain it because everybody that got the book knows my family, most of the people. You know what I mean?
I'm just looking at it as an outsider. If somebody from Houston, Texas, has a problem,
right,
your book could be inspiring to them, but it would have made more sense maybe to them if they knew that you had this great upbringing. You know.
No, that's a good point. That's a great point, man. That's a great point. That was my fault.
But it's not a fault.
But you know what I mean,
maybe that's something to write for the revised edition.
Yeah, you know, that's a good idea.
Maybe you'll do a second part and include that. I do know, reading your book, that you were a man of the military.
Yeah, I was in the Navy for 2 years, Gene.
First of all, I want to say thank you for doing your service for our great country. And
thanks a lot.
Did you join the service to get away from the problems?
Yes. My lawyer and my family said, listen, I was going to do a year in the county jail, Westchester County Jail. And Judge O'Toole knew my grandfather and the lawyer. We went in his chambers and he said, Mr. Buono, it's a good idea you're going to the Navy. We're going to drop the charges. It's going to help you. I wish you luck. And they dropped the charges. And the next day I was in Chicago, Great Lakes, Chicago, in basic training.
Wow. The next day.
That was fast, yo.
Wow.
That's it. And I think I was doing great in the Navy for 2 years.
Right.
And same thing. After work, our ship got docked in Boston. And me and the guys going out partying for my ship. We would rob people for just being nuts. It was just a crazy time.
Right.
You know, I would hit them and they would rob them. Very bad time in my life. Doing that kind of stuff. But they caught us one night, and me and another guy from the ship, and we both got kicked out of the Navy, other than honorable discharge. They gave me $20 to get home, and our ship actually got thrown out of Boston because of me and the other guy. You know, like get the hell out of here. That they were so mad. The Boston, the public, Boston.
Wow.
I really did a number on them. You know, but that was life.
Yeah.
81 to 83. That was
right. Speaking of punching people, you did have a little bit of a boxing career, and I'm going to say a little bit because it was a very short-lived boxing career.
Oh yeah. One fight I had with Mike Trapani. With Mike Trapani, Gene. Mike Trapani. In his boxing stable. Yes. Under Phil Nostell. I lost the fight, and I'll never forget, my father took me to pizza afterwards, the family. He said, "That's it, kid. Your fighting days are over. You're going to work."
How old were you when that happened?
I was about 17, 18.
Did you want to be a boxer?
I still want to be a boxer.
You still want to be a boxer?
I love boxing.
I got to tell you, I know you're a great street fighter.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't a great. I was pretty handy with my hands when I was a kid.
Oh wow!
And they wanted me to be a boxer, so I went to Joey DeGuardia.
Oh yeah.
Of Morris Park Boxing, and I was maybe I think 12 or 13, and I was always big. I was always 5'6". I've been this height since I'm 11. Right. So they were gonna make me the next great white hope.
Wow, that's funny, man.
And they put me in the ring with Joe DeGuardia Jr., who was about 95 pounds soaking wet. Right. And I looked at my trainer and I said, "I'm going to kill this son of a bitch." Right. And Joey DeGuardia beat the living shit out of me.
You know, he was a Golden Glove champ.
He beat the shit out of me. Charlie, I pulled my gloves off. Well, first what happened was I kicked him. I kicked him in his leg, and his father called me over. He said, "You know, you can't kick." I said, "Why can't I kick?" He says, "You can't kick." All right. So then I get back in the ring, and I knee him. And I knee him in his balls. And his father goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "That's how I fight in the street." And he goes, "You can't do that." So I was maybe 150 pounds, and Joey was 95 pounds. So I got in the ring. Charlie, he knocked the mouthpiece out of my mouth. I pulled the gloves off. I said, "Fuck you, I'm out of here." And I ran away.
Jane, that's the greatest story I ever heard, man.
I ran away.
Oh, that's funny, man.
But
that is funny.
Yeah. Funny. Joe DeGuardia Jr., Joe DeGuardia Sr., great men.
Great people.
Great men.
Paulie was very good friends with them too.
Paulie was great friends with everybody.
Yeah. His son's some fighter, Paulie's son. Yeah. Some fighter, Gene.
I know. I used to talk with Paulie Sr.
Yeah.
And
very good fighter.
He would do nothing but brag about that kid.
Yeah, and he still got potential. It's very, very sad, though. I wish the old man was still here, you know? Like you said in the beginning. He died too young.
Yeah, but he's going to see it from a different angle, Charlie.
Oh, yeah. He's seeing for heaven, the best seat in the house.
Yeah. So now you wind up, your boxing career is over.
Yeah, boxing career.
So you went and got a job. What did you do when you were young?
Well, I worked for my sister Mary husband for, thank God he was around, the family. I cleaned boilers all my life. A heavy lifting. I had 2 back operations. Right. I got a fusion in my back to hold it up. You know, I worked very hard with my back. But I always had a job. So I blessed my brother-in-law, Pat. I really blessed him. He always kept me in and out of, when I was coming out of prison, I went to work, you know? And I'm a 2-time felon, you know, 2 times I went to prison.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I wouldn't have got it. It would have been very hard for me to have a job, but he kept me busy for 30 years, and I bless him for that.
God bless is right.
Yeah.
Charles, the book isn't that big.
No.
It's not that big, but you do get your point across
Yeah.
many times.
Yeah.
What is your point for the people that are watching? What is your point that you wanted to get across on your book, From Crime to Christ?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Gene. My friend Joey Artuso, when I lived down Arthur Avenue years ago, he gave me the inspiration for this book because he had went through the same thing. And he always used to tell me, Charlie, you got to give back. You got to give back. You got to give back. And when I always used to say I want to be like him to get what he got, and I got what he got. And I said, let me make, I got serenity. I said, let me make a book. Let me make a book. I went down Artuso's and gave Joey a book. And he didn't know how to thank me. He called me on the phone. Charlie, it's amazing. That's beautiful. So I want to give to one person that they don't got to walk down my footsteps on the halls of Rikers Island or halls of downstate correctional facility. A horror. It was nothing but a horror. You know what I mean? A horror. But yeah, they'll learn from this book, you know.
Right,
but
right.
Like you said in the beginning, Gene.
Right.
If I gotta just touch one person, the book, and I think I did touch one person. Everybody loves it. I mean, see one person that didn't like this book.
Right. If you don't mind, Charles,
Yeah.
Would you please put your book? Just put it in the frame where Paulie
Like
is. Yeah, put it there for a few minutes because I want people to see it. I don't mean any disrespect, Paul Saracelli.
Nah, Paulie, he
Yeah.
would love it to see the book. Yeah.
I noticed the funny part between the title is that you spent 40 days in Rikers.
Right.
So you did a Lent sentence. Lent. 40 days.
That's no time in there.
That's no time in there.
They just kept me there till I went upstate.
Right.
My court case was going on, and then you go upstate. That's like a Holden's part. I was on the Holden part of Rikers Island, and then they shack you up, and you're up to go downstate correctional, and then they ship you to an upstate prison.
Right.
That's how that goes. But that Rikers Island, them 40 days were the 40 horrible days. You never forget that. I never want to go back there.
Right.
And not that nobody messed with me, but you always had to be on guard. It's not a way to live.
No, it's not a way to live.
No.
So you did some bad in your life.
Yeah.
You're now 59 years young.
Right.
You're married to the same woman for almost 24 years, Robin, your lovely wife, Robin.
Yeah, good.
And you have, because of Facebook, I see every damn thing you do with him. You have a wonderful relationship with your grandson, Paris.
Yeah, the kid is unbelievable, Gene. God, that's another thing God did for me. Put him in our lives. We're helping my stepdaughter Taina with the kid, and it's just a great feeling.
Let me ask you something. Has Paris read your book?
Gene, he says to me the other day, he stays the weekends with us. He said, could you read my page to me? So he knows of it. I dedicated a nice page in there to him.
Right.
And his mother had read him the book. His mother read him the book.
Right. The reason I ask is because you're such a role model to him.
Right.
I see everything you do with him. So I think it's important that your book lets him know that although your grandpa and you're great and you did have a downtime that he can avoid.
Right.
If he comes to you and says, Grandpa, I'm in high school and they're picking on me and they want me to smoke pot, what do I do? If you have that relationship with your grandson, you could avoid the trap falls.
No, that's beautiful. You said that, Gene, because I always say that. You don't want to end up in this place, Paris. You don't want to end up in jail. You don't want to end up. You got to be a good boy. And he listens. Right. He listens.
Right.
He listens a lot, man. He picks up fast. So you definitely made a good point there.
Right. I want to let all our viewers and listeners know that this book is available.
Yeah.
It's an inspiring story. Love the title, From Crime to Christ. Let me ask you something. After COVID goes away, do you think you're going to do some library appearances, maybe to talk to the people about your situation? And do you think you'll do some public appearances?
You know, Gene, I would have loved to go in. I'm gonna check up on how I could go into the prisons and talk to people that are about to come home. You know, that was my goal. I don't think much about the library. Maybe that won't happen. But if I'm gonna really get into trying to get into the prisons, to see where I was sitting, where they're sitting, and you could turn it around.
Well, I think, yeah, but I applaud that. But I do think you should focus on the people that are impressionable, that you could possibly help not go down that first road.
No, you're right. You're right.
I don't think you should limit yourself just to
prisons. Yeah,
prisons. I think your story can resonate with a lot of preteens and teenagers.
I remember about a year ago or something, Nikki Trotter's wife, Donna, said that to me in a message on Facebook. She said, Charlie, you should go to school. You should go to the schools. You should go to the schools in like an assembly and stuff.
Right.
And you know, tell them about the teenagers getting ready to go out to the work field. Don't go down this path. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just to catch one. I'll never forget. She wrote that one day on my Facebook. So that brings back a memory. Yeah, that's definitely a good point.
Absolutely, and I think it's something if you should work on, and if you thought about if you need help, maybe I could help you.
I appreciate that, Gene.
I'd be happy to do that for you, my friend. How is this book? If somebody wants the book, how can they get it, Charlie?
Well, you know, I got like so many friends on Facebook. They just got to tell me what they want. And whoever, like I got friends now in Florida that moved. I mail it to them. Yeah. And you know, it's not this is like I made 200 books. And I just got the last 20 today. So 180 are already in people's hands.
Right.
And I got 20 today from the store. And whoever needs it, just tell me. And you know, it's not about the money. You know what I mean? Some people give me money, and I appreciate it so much. But it's about like you giving a point, you know. But from the heart, let them read it. I had fathers call me up that they gave to their sons that's going down the wrong path.
Yeah.
He gave me a $30 check. Charlie, thanks so much. Another parole officer that I grew up with sent me 120, Howie Potter from California.
Wow.
So, you know, because he saw a lot of guys that he had to deal with, you know.
Right.
So a lot of people been giving me stuff like that. Much appreciated. Don't get me wrong, Gene. My Aunt Joanne gave me $1,000 for the book to help me books. Beautiful people, you know.
You know, I think.
And you're one of. I really appreciate you helping me today, man. And it's from the heart. Well, you know, Paulie was right about you, and Raymond, and they said you're a very good man, bro. And I appreciate that.
It's my pleasure and honor to know you, a man that came from the wrong side of the tracks.
Right.
Was able to get to the right side. I admire people like you, Charlie. I never, this is me. Right. I never did a drug in my life.
Thank God.
I never smoked a cigarette. I never did pot, coke, or pills.
Right.
That was just me.
Right.
But I do appreciate people that weathered the storm and were able to get back to themselves.
Yeah, I like that. I like that saying, weather the storm.
Yeah. So you're on Facebook under Charlie Buono, Buono.
Yeah, it means good in Italian.
Yes, I know that. So to our listeners and our viewers, if you would like a copy of this very inspiring book, From Crime to Christ, the Charlie Buono story, send Charlie a message and you can work it out.
Right.
I know you're not charging for the book, but if somebody wants to give you a box of cannolis, that's okay, right?
Yeah, I'll take them.
Charlie, before we say goodnight, do you have anything else you want to say?
I just want to thank my beautiful wife and my family and all my great friends, the Third Street Boys, and this guy right here, and his beautiful wife Maria, and the kids, like you said, Paulie and Stephanie, and just the city of North Shell for backing me with this book too. Great people. And Gene, thanks again, and I'll see you down the road, champ.
My pleasure. And let's put something together, the Charlie Buono book and book signing tour.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, right, Charlie. God bless you.
I love you, man.
Stay well, pal. You got it. I know it's a different show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you got the notice that we were live and you tuned in because you thought it was one of our celebrities. But he is a celebrity. Charlie Buono is a celebrity, a published author, a very inspiring story, From Crime to Christ, the Charlie Buono story. I highly recommend you reach out to him and read it and give it to somebody. Don't be shy. Give it to somebody that you think could take something away from this. Because if you help one life, it's one that's appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday night, we're going to say goodnight to you. Hope you enjoy the rest of the week. Don't forget to tune into our podcast Mondays at 7 o'clock. This Monday, April 19th, with Jimmy Merchant of Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, and a very special announcement by yours truly. Once again, From Crime to Christ, the Charlie Buono story. Until then, be safe, be well, stay positive, and God bless you, everybody. Take care.